Do you struggle with being assertive? Now, the immature masculine is always aggressive rather than assertive. The mature masculine is much more assertive than aggressive. You have these two polarities of behavior, one being mature and one being immature, one that represents maturity and one that represents immaturity. So the immature masculine is either aggressive, verbally, outwardly in an extroverted sense, through in a very overt way that is very obvious, or they are passive aggressive. So they are covert aggressive. They're kind of, they will say things that have undertones of aggressive tendencies, or they might want to hurt the feelings of someone else and all of this type of thing. And the key difference between these two things is that of accountability. The mature masculine is always accountable. They understand the way they feel. They are able to process their emotions so that they can then verbalize and express those emotions in a coherent, reasonable, mature way for accountability. They are dictated, instead, the immature masculine, by emotional reactivity, which is immaturity, rather than emotional accountability, which is maturity for the masculine. Now, the key difference between the mature masculine's assertiveness and the immature masculine's passive or not so passive aggressiveness is their understanding that which maintains well-being. The immature masculine doesn't understand what is intrinsically valuable relative to someone else. Okay? This is why the immature masculine lacks accountability. They don't have a good grasp of well-being, self-care, or even that in relation to well-being towards other people, which is why they can often be very selfish, self-centered, self-interested, and not someone who is very accountable or empathetic or compassionate or understanding of other people, or that they may lack an ability to empathize with other people, to relate on an emotional level with other people, because they don't understand what is intrinsically valuable relative to someone else. Now, a key ingredient to understanding well-being is to be empathetic and to be able to, in relation to relating with people, be able to tap into empathy towards the needs of other people. Therefore, the mature masculine is always trying to embody the highest human good. And within Aristotelian understanding, this is called eudaimonia, the attainment of eudaimonia. And to attain this highest form of human good, which is what the mature masculine is always trying to guide himself towards, eudaimonia, the only way to attain this is to embody three principles within your existence and within your life philosophy. Moral responsibility being one of them, which is the willingness to take ownership of one's actions and decisions. The immature masculine doesn't do this. Like I was saying, they're not accountable. They are emotionally reactive, not emotionally accountable or proactive or anything like this. Now, elite virtue is another, which is the striving towards moral excellence, or just simply excellence in any form or matter of action. The striving towards excellence. And third being what is found within Stoicism, or the bedrock of Stoicism, which is to focus only on what can actually be controlled, not to focus on what you want to try and control, even though it's out of your own hands. It's what can you control, and therefore control that thing in which is possible to control. Don't worry about things. Don't stress over things which are out of your control, that are not actually in relation to you. So these are the three principles that the mature masculine has to live by to embody and to reach the highest form of human good, which is eudaimonia, which is moral responsibility, elite virtue, and Stoicism, or the bedrock of Stoicism being focus only on that in which you can control. Now, when the eudaimonia is achieved, we achieve the highest human good, as I was saying. For Aristotle, very interestingly, eudaimonia is the highest human good and the only human good that is desirable for its own sake, as an end in itself, rather than for the sake of something else as a mean towards some other end. Right, this is very interesting. Usually when we look at happiness, when we look at things of these, well, we usually look at the typical conception of happiness. We usually see it in a way that is temporary, or a lot of people's conception of, this is going to make me happy. This is going to make me, whatever. And we base them within material desires and things like this. And then they don't lead to any form of true contentment. That is the complete opposite of eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is instead a way of life. How can we live a way of life? We embody a way of living that is going to lead us towards a highest form of human good, rather than us doing things that are going to bring us towards maybe a satiation of desire that is only going to last for a temporary amount of time. But then once that thing in which we desire, we lust for, that's in the material world ends, and we desire something else that's similar to that, that is not true contentment. That is not the embodiment or the us entering into a state of eudaimonia. It's instead something that is much more profane rather than that which is sacred. Now, in his time, the Greeks believed that each child was blessed at birth with a personal daemon embodying the highest possible expression of his or her nature. One way they envisioned the daemon was as a golden figurine that would be revealed by cracking away the outer layer of cheap pottery. And this would be the person's exterior. Or now, if we look at this in psychology or from a psychoanalytic perspective, this would be the person's persona. You crack away at the persona, you crack away at the surface level thing of what that person is. And we go to the deeper layers of the psyche, and we find the self. We're finding the full embodiment of truth, the full embodiment of what you could call being the soul, the expression of the soul. That is what is nested within the heart of each individual, that is truly desired to come about by the individual. And that's, of course, what Jung called with individuation. And interestingly, this idea of the highest good, achieving the highest good, is represented in this Greek conception that there is a personal daemon which embodies the highest possible expression of his or her nature, which could be your purpose, your vocation, the thing in which you're trying to discover, or that in which you will discover the more you explore and discover life for yourself, through the subjective and making the subjective the objective to your existence. So it's all very interesting. There's a lot of interplay between finding, especially within the idea of eudaimonia, of achieving the highest good, the idea of individuation, purpose, vocation, but also that in relation to what is the true form of happiness that we are actually striving for. And that is, of course, described by Aristotle. It's called eudaimonia, which is the highest good. What is the highest good we can achieve and attain fundamentally? And to be assertive, to be mature, to be going and rising up towards these highest virtues and highest standards that we should set for ourselves, we have to go towards what is the true highest good, in which Aristotle is describing through eudaimonia, understanding the principles which make up eudaimonia itself, being moral responsibility, a elite virtue, the striving for excellence, focusing on things on which we can only control, so that we are not too much attached to the past or the future, that we're not stamped down by worries and fears and concerns of life and things of this nature, but also so that we are morally responsible, so that we are not immature, so that we are not taken over by the emotions of aggression, of anger, of wrath, of all sorts of different things which can emotionally take us over as men, and lead us down a lifestyle of immaturity and degeneracy in many different ways. So it's all about trying to achieve this highest form of good and how that is embodied through the mature masculine itself. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure to give it a like, share it around, comment your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, if you're interested in any form of coaching with regards to becoming more disciplined, taking up more responsibility for yourself so that you can change your lifestyle around, overcoming intrusive thoughts, overcoming these problems and these hurdles that we face on a daily basis. If you're interested in that, check out the link in the description. You'll find it straight underneath this video. You can also look at the references that I have for the people that I've worked with, also on my website and things of this nature. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check it out, and I will speak to you in the next video. Thanks for watching.